I'm Daniel, the past life regressionist, and it's time to begin.
Lift off and the clock has started.
3, 2, 1. This is Timeless Spirituality. Enjoy Eternity Time.
Hey everyone, welcome back to Timeless Spirituality. It is time for another new episode. Just want to remind you guys that I do have a workshop coming up this Saturday at 11 a.m. Pacific and 2 p.m. Eastern, and I'll be co-hosting that with Jenny Sherman, and it's going to be about the magic of the seasons. And then I'm going to go ahead and lead a group past life regression. So come on and join us this Saturday, and you can check out the details in the show notes. Yeah, just come on. Just come hang out with us. Yeah. So for today's episode, we're going in a slightly different direction, a more grounded direction, I guess you could say. And at some points, it may seem as though I'm being a little, how would I put it, self-depreciating. And while that may be the case, at the same time, I'm doing my best to show how you can look at your own actions objectively and not have your head in a hole, because I think that's what really the overall theme of the episode is, not having your head in a hole. So just be gentle with yourselves, everyone. It's all in good fun when I take those shots at myself. It's just not a big deal. So that's why I do it. So with all that said, if you would like to book a regression with me to discover who, when, and where you have been throughout time, you can reach me on Instagram at the Past Life Regressionist or my website, thepastliferegressionist.com. And now it's time to begin. Zack Alexander, welcome to the show. How are you doing today?
I'm doing pretty well. Filling in. I try not to say I'm filling you last minute. Sorry,
Oh, no, it's okay. We're not throwing anyone under the bus. So yeah, Zack is a last minute fill in. Of course, I've wanted to get Zack on the podcast, but I had a scheduling conflict today. We'll put it that way. Or there was a scheduling conflict.
Yeah.
And I said to Zack last minute, hey man, you want to come on today? You want to come on the podcast? So he's just coming on fresh, not thinking about it at all. I mean, I told him the topic I'd like to discuss. So you're getting Zack. This is not going to be the manufacturer. Well, I love this guy. He's not me. That's not, you know what I'm trying to say. Look, we're still recording this during a Mercury retrograde, so my thoughts are going to be kind of skewed. And yes, I can blame it on Mercury retrograde because it is, but then I should probably take personal accountability. But I'm saying, no, not now, because I'm just going to put it on Mercury retrograde. Anyways, after that long-winded thought there, Zack hasn't had time to prepare for this, so you're getting the raw Zack. All right, so with that, I think we're pretty much going to dive in. I'm going to not ask some of the normal questions that I ask. Well, I'll leave one or two off. My first question for you is, what do you believe in?
That's way too broad and ambiguous. What do I believe in? Let's center it more. I hope you don't mind. Like, where believe in what?
I don't know. I mean, you could believe in sand, or it could be as big as the universe or something else. Whatever comes up for you in this very moment.
Man, what do I believe in? We really are doing this off the cuff, because like that one I was not expecting. I believe that we are all on a hurling rock, having a third dimensional experience of individualized free will and seeing how we all work together. And if we can all find a cohesion of love, acceptance, gratitude, and not being non-judgmental, violent shitheads to one another, and where that leads us, and the complexities that experiencing the range of emotions and feelings, whether shame, fear, terror, anger, love, strength, wisdom, all the different things, and how we all work together. That's so much. That's the best I got. Is that?
I mean, that's great, but all I heard is that you think that the Earth is flat.
That's not what I said. I know that's a theory out there. A lot of are saying, but
so you're not saying the Earth is flat, just to make sure.
Don't fucking pin that on me. No.
Okay, because I may have misinterpreted that. I mean, I personally don't believe it is, but then again, I guess I'll only find out if I ever go to space or once I leave the body, if there's not total nothingness. Yeah. Anyways, Who is Zack?
I am a spiritual and leadership mentor. Yeah, but you know what? I don't ever, you go on a podcast and everyone asks you who you are, and then you give them the title of your job and like the life experiences. And I'm a dude who's trying to figure shit out, who has been through, it does feel like I've lived like 40 lifetimes in this one life. I've seen a lot, experienced a lot. I'm American, I'm a Jewish man. I obviously am in the spiritual wellness sphere. I hate using the fucking term coach, but you know, I guess I would fall under that distinction. But I'm here to hold space and essentially guide people back to themselves. And you know, very interested in what's going on in our world at large, what's going on in America at large. Very interested in how we continue to work together to create systems, institutions that actually work for people, and really centering on like, you know, how our own government has potentially harmed us and how we can rectify that harm and how we just all build a world that we all want to fucking live in together. And so that's me. I feel like that's a good answer.
Just so you know, we don't cuss on this podcast.
Yeah. Yeah.
That was great. Before I continue to give you a tongue bath, I'll just put it this way. My nice way of saying that, I think you're awesome. I think you are, it's like, do I want to say authentic? Like, because that almost sounds so just, but you are, for lack of a better term, you are one of the most authentic people that I've met in this space in the time that I've been in it. You're real. And even our conversations off camera, you're a goober. I'm sorry, I'm just going to call it out that way. You're this big ball of fun.
Yeah.
And you have a way about you, which I think is great. And I think you're the perfect person to have this upcoming conversation with, because I don't think that you're going to hold back. And I think that that's important for something like this. So one of the things I also admire about you is that while you do take political stances, at the same time, you find a way to not just make it about what you'd hear on CNN or any of the mainstream media or anything that would be clickbait. You're doing this because you genuinely believe in that. I could be wrong, but that's what I believe just from knowing you. I believe that you're in it for all the right reasons. And I think that you're more of what this space needs. Because look, you're still growing. I'm still growing. But you acknowledge that.
Yeah.
And you don't just say, oh, listen to me. I'm amazing. I'm so good at this. I have a deep voice.
Yeah.
And
it's nice having a deep voice, so I will say that.
so that's my tongue bath for you. And I think you're great. And I just want to jump in right now because, so just a heads up, this conversation may piss you off. That is not our intention. This is just the perspective of two guys who know a little about a lot, or maybe nothing at all. And maybe this is just the way that we choose to see the world. So it's not necessarily right or wrong. So if you are upset by what we say, just know we're not doing this to purposely piss you off. The topic of conversation for today has to do with, I would say, real world awareness. Let's put it that way. Because in the time that I've been in the, still quote unquote spiritual community space, the message I see most frequently about world events is don't look at them. Don't look at it. Just disconnect, go off the grid, and don't put any energy towards it because, it may lower your vibration, or it's going to get in your auric field, and it's going to dampen your mood or your flow and be detrimental to you as an individual. My personal feeling, I don't buy it. I don't think that that's the way to go about things because, look, to each his own. But I think that there is something about having your eyes open that really does have a reverberating effect around the world. That's not to say that the media isn't crooked or giving you a slanted point of view and that things may appear to be something other than they are, but there are bad things going on around the world. And also just not to excuse it by, oh, well, that's that person's karmic path. They chose to come into that scenario. Oh, that's one that really pisses me off. But anyways, I'm going to now phrase that as a question. So with so many in the spiritual space advocating for avoiding distressing news in order to preserve their energy or vibration, why is it that you think that this perspective has become so prevalent?
Why has it become so prevalent? I think it's a massive distortion. I think it's when people don't feel that they have the ability to influence or have power over a situation, right? Rather than dealing with that blockage, rather than dealing with that belief of I'm powerless and helpless, we're just going to avoid it entirely, right? Or we don't feel that we have the capacity to look at something, to see it, right? It makes us feel uncomfortable. It makes us feel distressed. And we don't know how to be with that feeling. We don't know how to appropriately engage with that emotion, engage with a tough truth. It's better to look away. And then the spiritual sphere makes you feel inflated from looking away. It creates this whole ego inflation of you're more enlightened because you look away, because you're detached. And I feel like it's a misapplication even of the concepts of attachment or to engage with something appropriately. Listen, I mean, what happens when you look away from the shadow of your own psychology? The shadow grows and it expands and it begins running you from the subconscious, right? These are like basic, very basic, like inner work principles. And so now on a collective level, like we are all part of the collective consciousness. Like our institutions, our governments, our systems, like they impact and affect us. And we have a whole smorgasbord of people and leaders and teachers saying that you need to look away from the shadow because to them, this is the shadow. I don't want to look at it. I don't want to see it. And you're becoming disconnected. You are actually severing your relationship to your own communities, to your own nation, to your own world. And I do think that there are times in people's journeys where it is appropriate to step back from news, where we might have to really be inward, where, you know, it's pick and choose. Like there's not a blanket thing of like, you always have to be tending to this. I haven't always been, right? I'll come in and out. But this notion that you are somehow better or more enlightened because you pretend that the harm induced in the world doesn't exist. Like I gotta be honest, I feel like it makes you a jackass, right? I don't think it makes you more enlightened. It makes you an asshole. And so this is a major theme that I see running off in spiritual spaces. And, you know, there's even this notion that like, well, I'm just going to come and I live in my own little spiritual community and I've created this bubble for myself. So this doesn't apply to me. Like I'm just going to kind of be in my zone and the systems will come for you. That's the truth. Like just because you're isolated in some space or area right now, like the way that our government, the way that our manufacturing industries, the way that everything, our corporate capitalist system engages with the world, engages with the environment, like this will catch up to you. Like we're all part of this spinning rock. So to say that, well, I'm in my own isolated community, so it doesn't impact me, I think it's incorrect. It's not impacting you, quote unquote, right now, but it absolutely will. So it is important to engage and at least look at what is happening in our world and be able to observe and witness it. Do you have to take on and absorb the world's pain? No, I don't think that does anyone any good. But do you have to keep your eyes open? 110%. Because if you're shutting yourself down from everything and everyone, you're not really fully human in my eyes. Like you're severing yourself from a major aspect of the human experience, which is that we're all connected. Like that's what the whole spiritual journey is about. This whole recognition of oneness is that we are all in a cohesive relationship with one another. And then you are severing and fracturing yourself from real deep aspects of this relationship. That's my answer.
Okay. I don't know if you're just taking a breath or taking some water. I heard what you were saying about the systems, and I think that this next question is going to relate more to, let's just say, our fellow Americans. What about those who decide to become expats and move to another country? How will it affect them?
I mean, I am an expat right now. I mean, I am the douchebag that moved to Playa del Carmen, Mexico for a year and a half to be by a fucking beach. I feel like I deserved it, right? I feel like with all the trauma, I was holding space for my career. I was able to take a time out. It will impact and affect you. Like America is quote unquote the Roman Empire of our time. Like their decisions and how they apply policy on a global level will impact and affect you no matter what. Yes, like you can go and you can fuck off to Thailand or Bali and be in your own world. And maybe that's part of your journey for some time, right? This is my belief system perspective. It resonates great. If you think I'm an asshole, you can throw it out. Okay. Free will. But if you go to Thailand, if you go to Bali and you just say that this isn't real, that these decisions don't impact us, like, you're incorrect. Okay. Like I said, we are part of a global collective consciousness. Even your refusal to be American and to say, this doesn't matter, I'm done. There's energy to that, right? Like, we are living and we exist under a government right now, a military industrial complex that is engaging in wars and genocides that, from my lens, we shouldn't be. And so when you say, I'm American and I have capacity to actually influence the system that is hurting and potentially harming other lives, and I'm saying, I'm just going to be in Bali and I'm going to pretend it's not real and I'm going to pretend it doesn't exist. Like, that's your right, but there's energy to that. Like there's a lot of energy to that. And I think it's important to be cognizant of that.
So what led you to this perspective?
So, I mean, obviously, like, I have my background and I went to the fancy law school. I had an awakening. I withdrew early. I became a fucking Reiki healer initially. All due respect to Reiki, not the biggest fan of that modality. But, I did the whole online spiritual healer thing, right? It's part of my career. It's the space I'm in right now. But like, I was fed a lot of this stuff from different mentors initially of like, everything's perfect. It doesn't matter. Their souls chose this. Like, it's all just a game. It's all just corruption. Just let it be there. And like the lower the vibration stuff, you're lowering your vibration, like just stay out of it. And I listened to it. I took it in. Like when you go through an awakening, there's a completely sometimes like dissolving of your perception of reality. You feel like this naked newborn. You don't know. So when people are feeding you this, I always call it indoctrination in its own way, you're absorbing it. You're taking it in, right? And I separated myself from anything going on in the world. I lived in my own little bubble. I worked at a wellness center. Like, it's like who's around me is all that matters. And then what's going on in my life, and my evolution and my ascension is all that matters, right? And I'll tell you that I really started feeling numb and dead on the inside. But like, I wasn't feeling negative emotions that prominently. So like, clearly, like I was just very enlightened.
Obviously.
And yeah, obviously, clearly, right? Boy, cardboard cutout spiritual guy. And so I was just like, there's something fucked up about this. Like, this doesn't feel right. Like, I don't know what, like, this just really hit me eventually. This does not feel good or okay. And I'll say this, like, a little over a year ago, I started speaking out as a Jewish man about what was going on in Palestine or what happened on October 7th, right? And the genocide occurring in Palestine. And for me, like, it was a terrible business decision. Like, it was like my business, like clients stopped coming in. I pissed off both, like I initially pissed off both sides, like my income, but really shot down and created issues, like even in my own relationship, obviously, right? And a lot of my energy was being invested in there. And so this on its surface level was quote unquote, not smart or not the right thing to do. And amidst all of that, internally, I never felt more connected within myself. Like, I felt way better, and it felt like the lights within me started to flash back on. So all this stuff that is horrific and terrible from the spiritual perspective, and I'm feeding energy into something so negative and so bad, but yet while I'm doing this, I'm feeling way better about myself. I'm feeling way better about the part I'm playing in the world. I'm feeling way more connected into who I really am. And I was like, that's what really just solidified it for me of like, wow, like I've almost gone under like some type of cult indoctrination, to be fully transparent with you. Like, and I'm done. Like, I'm out of that. Bye. And these were like belief systems that were put in me on a level to almost disconnect and remove me from what was going on in the world. And if you actually want to look at things from a spiritual purpose, like, what if people have awakenings and part of their purpose is to legitimately be involved in shifting things within institutions and systems, to creating different types of community spaces, to do all these different things, to be very engaging, to bring things up for awareness for people to see, so these harms don't occur anymore. And then you tell them that none of it matters. Like, your spiritual teachers, or telling you none of it matters, they're taking you off the board, right? And so a soul that may have been here to influence things in a potentially positive way is out.
Oh,
There's
but
something that,
Zach, what if that was that soul's journey was to have that situation where the teacher would come in? Oh, everyone, please take note
yeah,
of the tone of my voice, where the teacher would come in and say, none of it matters. What if that was that soul's journey? What would you say to that?
potentially yes and potentially no, because like you're making decisions, you're creating an artificial cult-like vacuum and putting people in it, and then saying like this is your choice or whatever, but you're potentially taking them under a vulnerable time. It's victim shaming in its own way, right? And I know we're all working through victimhood consciousness. It's not something you want to embody, but it is a complete gross misapplication of spiritual principles. And who are you to say that you for sure know that's that soul journey? You don't fucking know that. And so it's a very insidious way to gaslight and emotionally manipulate someone into a situation and then to validate that manipulation. You know, you're preying on someone's like subconscious in moments and sinking them with some thought constructs that may not apply to them, and then spinning it that you know what's right, and if they're wrong, it's their soul's journey. It's an insidious form of manipulation. They have to adopt their truth. They have to adopt your truth. It's their purpose. There's just a lot that's not good with that. And I also speak as a practitioner who's had nearly 1,000 clients and seen a lot of people go through this type of journey too, and kind of come out of this and it feels like a fog and it feels like a haze, and they're just like, oh, what the fuck? And I'm like, yeah, like, you know, I'm like, yeah, I know. And you can see that they didn't even feel like the light was on behind their eyes for sometimes, right? Because we're so conceptual, applying these constructs and staying away from anything that's negative because it can lower eye vibration. These seem just like very big misapplications and distortions of real spiritual principles that like are trying to come in. And you know, the New Age community loves to like throw the story of Jesus out there, right? In terms of like unconditional love and forgiveness and compassion, and as something to model, but they're almost whitewashing the story of Jesus as well. Okay. Jesus was crucified because he was a threat to the Roman state. Like he went into temples, and when he saw people handling money inappropriately, he flipped over tables. Like this was a man that was speaking truth to authority, speaking truth to power in the Rome, like because the Jews at the time were going through an occupation by the Roman state, and he was a part of pushing against that. And so we have this notion that it's these truly enlightened spiritual beings or whatever, like don't engage. That goes against history. And so are we going to look back with every major spiritual teacher and prophet that has existed throughout time? Like they were always on the ground. Like even Yogananda had assassination attempts on his life and was pushing things in very like difficult directions sometimes. And we're sitting here saying, no, you're enlightened because you remove yourself. That's not even the history of how real enlightened teachers have engaged with the world that we've seen throughout time.
Well, what if the only way to make the world better is if I focus on my own personal ascension process and purifying my body so I'll be able to go up in the ascension? Isn't that the only way to really fix things? Again, everyone sense the tone, please, because it's a broken world that we're living in.
It's not an invalid perspective. Like, I mean, there's definitely like times where, I mean, the consciousness can't shift if we don't shift individually.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So like there's absolutely parts of this where it's like you have to be very in your own inward journey. You have to be very much reconciling your own trauma. You have to be working with stuff like obviously energies are coming through. You're feeling physiological shifts. Like it's heavy. And so it's valid that like that's a central focus. Like that's not to say that you shouldn't be in your own internal world. Mm-hmm. And for some people, it may really just be the process to be in their own inward world. But I do believe that like that's some people's journey, totally good. Okay. But this whole notion that like it's about all of us taking ourselves off the map, and that's the spiritual journey, that's the spiritual path. I just feel is so invalid, incorrect. And I'm watching people become unwell, like a good amount of people becoming unwell from it because they're no longer listening to themselves. They're no longer listening to their own internal awareness and truth because they've been indoctrinated with a belief system that runs counter to what they truly believe inside themselves. Okay. And so, yeah.
I'm on board with what you're saying right now. One of the things that worries me is you mentioned how maybe that is someone's path or many people's path to just go within. While I agree with that, my concern comes in the form of how do you know as an individual if that's your path? Because I just think about being in that space and listening to this right now. I'm like, oh, Zack just gave me permission because I'm one of those people. I'm the one whose journey it is to go inside. So how do you truly know if that's your journey or not, or if that's just a story you're telling yourself?
Yeah. I mean, the more that you really work, like, I think the more that you open up to yourself, like, what if it isn't my journey to just go inward and you work with that and you still feel, no, I feel comfortable in my environment. I feel comfortable with what I'm doing. Like, this is what I'm doing. Right. Like, I mean, there are certain people that are just supposed to like, I really feel anchor their energy into the land beneath them. And like, that's enough. Like, so I think that for some people, they'll figure out like they know, but like, when it's all of like, when we just notice that everything is like a mental concept, like as you thoughts of like, wait, I have to like not care because that makes me enlightened. I can't. And you're just noticing it's almost like a fucking program is in your head glitching, like sputtering out thought form after thought form. That might not be you. Like, you know what I mean? Like it might not. Yeah. Yeah. Like something else might be going on there. So,
but you're just going through ascension symptoms at that point, right?
Yeah. There's some weird shit out there energetically. So it's not all ascension symptoms.
My own personal belief is that the shift in consciousness happens on an individual level. It's going to take everyone looking at their shit and moving past it, but actually looking at it, not looking away, not moving away, but actually looking at it, because that's how I think the collective shift happens, because everyone starts looking at the world in a different way at that point. So I'm curious what the distinction is between working on your shit and going inward, because when I hear going inward, I think of two things. One, working on your shit, but also just detaching from the outside world and going into your own, wusa space and just becoming one with everything and not hearing the chatter of the outside world. So where's the distinction made?
Well, I mean, and that's great for a lot of people. Like if you've had the space and ability to just go inward and just be with yourself inward and to evolve and to gain all these different like dimensions of perspective, like what a beautiful experience that you've had. And do you feel that that's available to everyone? And why or why not might that be available to everyone?
You mean because of socioeconomic conditions and things like that?
110%. Like, yeah, like if you're fucking working from 9 a.m. to 7 p.m., like every day to barely make ends meet, and you're in a survival complex day in and day out, like there is not space to look inside yourself. There is not space to do anything but to be head on, like, I got to make this fucking bill or I'm going to lose housing, right? If bombs are flinging over your head, right? You're in Ukraine, you're in Palestine right now, you're in the Congo. If bombs are flying over your head, I don't know how much time and space you have to go to yoga retreats and work on yourself. Okay. And so that's where I see is like, yes, like that's important, but also maybe it's also our responsibility to create systems and structures that allow people to be able to participate in this journey appropriately, to be able to have space to participate in this journey appropriately, because just because you came from a background where this was available to you and you may have made it, doesn't mean that that's available to a lot of people. And we're pretending like we're above them and it's like we're participating in our own little spiritual hierarchies. Like I've known a lot of people that I can sense are very, very, very advanced old souls. But there's a way more complex way that they have to engage with their process because there's trauma. They come from poverty, like they can't make ends meet. And so their journey is taking on some really difficult aspects. And we're pretending like it's not real or we're blaming them. It's like, well, what if we actually created systems that help these people? Right. What if all that like took you from being in their position was that you chose to go into a privileged life? You chose to incarnate in a privileged life. That doesn't make you above someone.
Mm-hmm.
It meant you had more access to an experience.
Mm-hmm. I mean, having you on here really takes the wind out of my sails, because I'm like, shit, what do I have to contribute to the conversation? He's covering all the bases, which I think is awesome, because yes, that's one of the things that my ego needs to work on, is that I don't always need to be the smartest person in the room. That's a compliment, Zach. Everyone, you see why I like this guy? If you're still listening and you have been like, I fucking hate this guy, he's such a fucking prick, and that Daniel thinks he's so fucking cool and smart and funny. He is, but I'm working on it. I come from a position of privilege. I'm fully well aware of it. It's much easier for me to take a few minutes and go sit and look inward than, just like Zach said. Do the people in Gaza right now have that opportunity? Well, yeah, they may have a couple minutes because, everything's pretty much been stripped away from them. But is that what they're going to go do right now? And I wouldn't. If I were in their position, I would be like, oh, I have this abundance of time right now, so this is my opportunity to go inward into ascent. No, I would not, because I'd be like, I haven't showered in 2 weeks, and even that shower that I had was a couple drips coming out of a faucet. I can't sit here in my own filth and try to look inward. I don't know, maybe they did this shit a long time ago before showers and stuff, or nearby, like, and it's neither here nor there right now. But in the modern era of time, not time, as we're referring to in linear time, because how else are we supposed to measure it? Even though I don't believe that time is linear, I'm still trying, everyone. I'm trying to incorporate time into these conversations and not make it solely political or agenda based, because, well, I think we're doing pretty well with that. Anyways, that's my tangent. Everyone, I'm putting it on full display, the shit that I still need to work on. Zach, my next question for you. With everything that you've brought up until now, how has this shaped your spiritual practice?
How does it shape my spiritual practice? That's a tough one, because it's like my spiritual practice is listening to myself, taking time to be within my environment, but also to like be open to what I feel matters as important to me. I definitely feel like there's been more of like, I've felt before the initial part of my awakening, I felt very connected to what people were going through and experiencing, even on a collective level. And when I got involved with New Age spaces and New Age teachers, I felt that connection sever. And outside of like clients or people like right in my immediate community, a lot of this is almost being intentional about that connection to happen again, to allow myself to literally have an emotional experience, or to really check in myself, like, what do I actually feel about this? And there are times where like I can tell that I'm having an experience that's not fully localized to my own life, and that's okay. In fact, that's healthy. But like, it's only my mind and body are confused, because they're like, we've been trained for 5 or 6 years that everything has to be about our own ascension journey. And so why are we processing something that doesn't have it? And it's like, oh my God, like I'm sad because shit in the world, kids are dying. Like, that's sad. Like, people I know are struggling from the systems. Like, that's sad. And like, I'm with it, but it's allowing it in now, but it's like, I would say I feel healthier, and so it's shaping my spiritual practice by being intentional about allowing myself to be open, that my experience isn't always localized to me. I may actually be having an emotional experience because of what is happening in the world at large, and that's healthy.
So duality and non-duality can coexist.
Yeah, and I know. We want everything in a nice little rule book for ourselves in the community. It's great.
For this next question, I want to take the lead on it, and then I really want you to. Is it the caboose? The caboose is the back of the train, right?
Yeah.
I want you to take the caboose for this one. So the next question that I had for you was, everyone, I'm still working on it, but I got to put my 2 cents in, because, yeah, again, I think this is part of the process. Yeah. Any validations? Zach, you can agree with me? Or
Yeah,
you can say no. It's fine. All right.
Yeah.
Am I doing okay? Am I doing
great, man.
well?
Yeah, you're doing great.
Am I smart?
We're all in this together.
But I'm smart, right?
Yes, very, very much so.
Okay, I sense the sarcasm. It's okay. I'll look past it right now.
I mean,
So the next question was, how do you suggest people stay informed about global events without feeling overwhelmed or disempowered? So I just want to talk a little bit first about the way that I go through that process.
Yeah.
Because in an interview that I did recently, I was asked about my spiritual practice. And one of the things I said is I watch the news while being aware that it's a narrative that someone's trying to feed and that maybe everything isn't as it seems. But I felt that it was important to say that because, one, it's true. That is part of my practice because I'm keeping an ear to the streets in a sense and having an awareness of what's going on in the world. And that way I can engage in conversations about it. And I think it's also important because there are episodes of the podcast that I choose to do that are like this, where it is talking about things that they're a bit of a heavier nature. And this conversation is being influenced by events going on around the world, even though it may seem more localized in what we're talking about. Because Zach and I, Zach, please correct me if I'm wrong here. In the back of our minds right now, we're thinking about a lot of the conflicts going on around the world. When we're talking about these things in the application, we are thinking about the wars going on in the Middle East, the injustices taking place across the world, because we are informed.
Mm-hmm.
And it does influence the way that we teach in a sense.
Mm-hmm.
And sometimes we don't always need to say, this is what we're specifically talking about.
Mm-hmm.
But if our heads were in a hole, we'd be approaching things much differently.
Mm-hmm.
And so when I watch the news, I'm going to be the first to admit right now, I am a little more, I want to put it, I'm not very attached in those moments.
Mm-hmm.
I shift over to the left brain a bit more.
Mm-hmm.
And I view the situation for what it is. And I say, you know what? That's horrible.
Mm-hmm.
That is horrible what is going on in that conflict right now. And I wish that there was something that I could do about it, but I'm also not in a position of power right now to do that. So if I spend too much time getting emotionally worked up over this, I'm the only one at that point who's going to face the detriment of that choice. But I still see it for what it is. But maybe I can't personally affect it, what's going on in that conflict. But maybe it's about spreading a different word and influencing hearts and minds in a way where a change will take place down the road. Because who knows? There may be someone listening to this right now who will be a future leader. And what if this is that conversation that they remember and they decided to make a change and look at the world in a different way and approach it in a different way? So that's the way that I look at it. But I also, look, this is one of those situations also where I am speaking from a perspective of privilege in a different sense, because if we're going to get astrological here, I have a lot of earth in my chart, not a lot of water. And water tends to be the more emotional in a sense. So it may be easier for me to look at these things and not be as emotionally triggered by it. So I don't want anyone to get down on themselves if you don't have that ability or if it's something you haven't cultivated yet. So that's the way that I go about being informed, is see it for what it is. It's horrible, but I have to move on with my day, but I'm going to do something about it in my own way. So how about you?
Yeah, so it's interesting. I don't watch mainstream news for the most part.
Yeah, by the way, I'm not watching CNN.
Yeah, no, there's some news channels that I like on YouTube, and they're very much like, and they would even call themselves, I guess, mainstream to a degree. And I really just even feel, and before I even click a video, I'm like, is this important for me to engage in? And I almost feel my body say yes, no, really like even listen to my own discernment on that. And to really take in what I feel needs to be taken in. And, when I feel like I got in something and understand something, it's like, okay, that's enough. And I'll remove it. Sometimes like, I have periods of time where I'm engaging with social media or not engaging with social media, but I'm engaging it, some news will pop up and I'll just really feel, is this something that feels relevant to me and my experience of the world, or how I need to be a part of the world, or just from a larger perspective. And once again, we'll get some yes, no's, things of that nature. I mean, I'll say this, like an example today is I feel we're all in this world together, and it's important that we understand how we're all interacting in this world together. And so right now, like I think it was last night in New York, the CEO of United Health Insurance was murdered on the sidewalk by a gunman in cold blood, right? And there's videos of the gunman coming and just seemed the New York Police Department is literally using the word proficient. Like it was toot, like change the gun, like in and out, like knew what
Everyone, we're recording this the day after this happened, so you probably know a lot more than we do at this point.
Yeah, you know a lot more than we do right now. But what I'll say is, like, you read the comments even and see the feedback of what people, and like a man got murdered, right? Yeah. And people, everyone is almost universally applauding the gunman. Now, I'm not saying that that's right at all, but you're feeling like where we are, where people's experience is right now, that people have been so harmed by our medical system and the insurance companies, and watching a family member die because they were denied coverage, that like you're literally looking at like an initial stages of a violent revolt, and people saying yes to it. Like that's something really like that's a momentous shift to take in. Now, I don't think violent revolution, I don't think gunning down a CEO of a health insurance company is remotely okay in any fucking way. But like the fact that like we're witnessing that people are like, yeah, good. Like it says a lot, and it says a lot of people's experience right now. And so I just feel like there's a lot to gauge, to understand your neighbor, to understand the people that you share a country with, the people that you share a world with, what their experience is. The news, and then seeing how people are responding to the news, gives us a window into that. And I think for a lot of us, it's an important window, right? That's the unique thing about social media. I think there's so many things that aren't good about social media, but it does allow us to have an experience of what people are going through, or how they're interpreting and taking in what's going on, right? And we can see it right in front of us. And that's unique in terms of that wasn't happening 30, 40 years ago.
Social media wise, with everyone having that like voice too.
Yeah, I mean, you have to go out to your like town square to see how people were feeling and things of that nature. But like, you know, to be online, you can see how people in South Korea are feeling about their president declaring martial law, and the parliament saying, no, go fuck yourself, right? And like how South Koreans are experiencing it, and it's a keyboard click away. You know, it doesn't have to be filtered through like some mainstream news channels to get to us. Like it's like you can just see it. So there's something really unique about that, right? The access to how everyone around the world is interpreting what's going on in the world.
What if I learned about that event through a post, through the lens of it just being, this is what happens when Pluto's in Aquarius? What would you say to that?
That's awesome. Great. Like if you listen, like I work, I'm not one of them, but I work with expert, like astrologists. Like if the planets are aligning to certain events and certain energetic paradigms being carried out, and you get it from, you receive what's going on from that. That's awesome. Well, who cares?
I guess I bring that up also because I think about some feedback that I got last year on a recording on the podcast regarding the astrological predictions. The feedback was, well, I don't want to hear you talk about the nuance. That doesn't matter. I just want to hear the predictions. That's all I care about. Whereas me and my guest at the time, we were coming from this perspective of, it's important to understand the events going on when these transits happen at other times. Therefore, you can understand the patterns and the energies that are playing a different way. But again, understanding the history behind it and what these movements end up looking like and how they may look a different way. Because I personally feel that boiling it down to, oh, it's just Pluto and Aquarius. It's like, yeah, like you said, that's great. But what does that really mean? And by chalking it up to just, oh, this is Pluto and Aquarius, this is just what's going to happen. Are you detaching by just chalking it up to Pluto and Aquarius without really understanding the implications of what that means,
Yeah.
and that someone lost their life. Now, it's a horribly broken system.
Yeah.
It's fucked up in so many ways. Everyone, just go watch the movie John Q. I believe it came out in 2002.
Yeah.
Very similar, but go watch that movie. So what's going on in 2002? It's going on long before 2002.
Yeah.
But that'll show you there are patterns at play here. And you know what? Pluto wasn't in Aquarius back then.
Yeah.
But these kind of things were happening. Now, yes, John Q was a fictional movie, I believe. And I may be off base saying that. I am fairly confident that there have been other situations like that. I'll just spoil the movie sort of for you, give you the premise. It was a movie where Denzel Washington's character, he had really shitty insurance. And his son needed a surgery, like a life-saving surgery, but they wouldn't do it because his insurance wouldn't cover it. So he took matters into his own hands and held people hostage in the hospital to make sure that that surgery was done. I don't know if it's a similar situation to what happened to this person. Again, I don't want to speculate at this point because we don't know. It doesn't matter. But this stuff has been going on long before Pluto and Aquarius. I just worry about just chalking it up to something simply. Could it be Pluto and Aquarius that cause this? Yeah, could be. But I think nuance is important and context always matters. And does that mean you're informed if it's just Pluto and Aquarius?
I mean, not really. I mean, like, it's just, you need, I feel like there's validity to a system in any way that can explain patterns, that can explain events.
Oh, wait, by the way, I'm a full believer in astrology.
Yeah. And so, I mean, you explained my whole fucking life. I gave you my chart. You didn't even know me, and you nailed down like everything that played out at every age. And I was like, okay, well, this is interesting. So I know the realness of it. I was like, how the fuck does he know everything? So like, it's valid and like nuance. Like it's not everything is so black and white. And like, we also choose how we respond to the energies. We choose what we do with these paradigms that come through. Like, obviously, like, even with the Earth, with the astrological ages, we're entering into the age of Aquarius. Like, we could choose to play out the negative parts of that sign, or we could choose to play out the positive ones. That's going to come down to us. Like, and it's our conscious decision about how we engage with the energies coming through. Like I said, there's complexities to it, and they can predict definitely things that will come through. But how do you engage with it? And like, it can bring up a number of different things that we still have to be incredibly mindful of.
I agree. Next question. You ready?
Yeah, sure.
So for anyone listening to this show who may be struggling with finding a balance between being informed and also having a healthy level of detachment, how would you suggest they find that balance?
Between being informed and having a healthy level of attachment?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, you can feel that feeling where something's starting to drain you. Like, I'm not online looking at all the pictures and videos of what is going on in Gaza. I know Palestinians who are not looking at all the pictures and videos of what's happening to their people, And for some people, they feel that they need to be present to that. And that's amazing. I saw a few that I felt like I needed to see to viscerally understand, and I got it, right? And engaging with it more, I could feel like something draining and sapping me and spiraling me into like, this isn't helpful,
Mm-hmm.
And so this is really being a master of your own experience, your own system, listening to your own truth, and really finding that level of like, okay, where do I feel that line of like, I'm not participating enough? And where is that line where I am getting caught into something that doesn't help me and doesn't help anyone, and everyone's going to have to feel out what that is. Like the news is at its heart a fear-induced mechanism that is there to pull you into a lot of shit.
Mm-hmm.
It's there to polarize you. It's there to divide you. It's there to scare you. And so like yeah, be fucking mindful of like how you engage with that. It's like I still watch. I experienced the flip side of I'm going to say this, like, I am so not a fan of Donald Trump. Like, I'm not, like, as a person, as a politician, I'm not a fan of who he is. I did not vote in this election because I felt both parties were horrible, but I just really do not like him. And I would watch some spiritual people come out and say, this guy's Hitler reincarnated. And I'm like, no, he's not. like he's
Well,
not.
maybe.
I mean, listen, like potentially, but I mean,
But someone maybe. So
we don't have enough to like. I really felt, but I felt the
sorry,
charge.
you're on a past life podcast here, so I had to.
Yeah. Oh, I see what you're saying. See, I missed the past life fucking joke. So, but like, it's I get it now. It's fine. But no, yeah, maybe it was Hitler past life, but like, it was just like I could feel the polarization in church. Like, how could you vote for Hitler? And it's like, but that's not it, you know. And so you can feel even like spiritual people charge in some ways of like, you know, where they're spinning in things that feel very much distorted truths and very fear induced, like, oh my God, this is gonna happen. And it's like, you don't know that. And like, let's find a center here and just and accept what this is bringing up in us, like the validity of what it's bringing up in us, and then just be open, right? And let's ride this crazy roller coaster we're all about to go on together, you know. But yeah, there's so many ways that you can engage with this harmfully, and I feel like I do watch people in the spiritual sphere. They swing between extremes. It's like that big pendulum of I engaged in the news. It was so unhealthy. I stayed away. Then I recognized how disconnected I was, so I swung back. And now Hitler's here, and everything's bad. It's like, oh no, okay, you know. And so it's finding that healthy medium, and that's its own balance that each person's gonna have to figure out within themselves.
Yeah, it's not fun when at least when you agree with someone so to the T.
Yeah.
I did not vote for Trump. I'm just going to state that right off the bat. Maybe a little bit similar to Zach that I'm willing to admit with a lot of these things. Well, you know what I mean with that. But no, I did not vote for him, which means I'm not a fan of his. But in every situation, I think you got to look at the totality of it. And while I am an advocate of peace, first and foremost, peace, everyone, peace. That's the idealist to me. But then the pragmatic side of me says, I see the world that we're living in right now, and things are not going to change overnight. And if you look at history, again, factual, if you look at history, there have been people that we would deem to be monsters in positions of power who kept other monsters in check.
Mm-hmm.
I am not supporting that in any way, shape, or form and saying that was the right way to go about things. But maybe there's an opportunity to look at this in a different way. Mm-hmm. I did not support him. I did not vote for him. I'm not cheering him on for the bad impulses. But of course, as an American, if he does well, we all do well, whatever that means.
Yeah.
I just don't think it's black and white. That's the way that I'm going to put it. Yeah. Because with the state of the world right now, and again, I bring this up now. So if you're being presented with posts or information of like saying this guy's Hitler, again, the past life joke there was maybe he was. Mm-hmm. That wouldn't have to be.
Yeah.
But maybe you counter that with, look, I think most, if not all world leaders, it's just my own personal opinion, are a bunch of psychopaths. Yeah. And are just unhinged, power hungry at their core. And are just a bunch of fucking morons too.
Yeah.
But then you have someone who's unpredictable. And when you don't know what they're going to do, that may keep you in check.
Yeah.
I don't think things need to be black and white. So I think that there can be a healthy balance. So it's something to consider. And it's sometimes hard to come to that conclusion when it goes so in the face of everything you believe. And when you look at the ugliness of something and saying, oh, that is ugly. But maybe there's something else in the ugliness that's important to look at. And it's just not so black and white.
I think that's a great perspective to have or whatever. And is that true or not true? I don't know. Right. There's validity to like the whole thing, you know, around do you need a monster to check the other monsters, and how bad are the actual other monsters that we may not understand, you know? Mm-hmm. So everything is always very layered.
Yeah.
And you know, I mean, if you're really into spirituality and evolution and ascension and growth or whatever, I mean, looking at all the things playing out in the world, it's a hell of a thing to like to I think that helps you. Like, I mean, there's a lot of
Hmm.
like want to understand like behavior and psychology and patterning and all this stuff. Like it's playing out all around you. Like, and you get to
You
see
have a rare opportunity.
yeah, for 110%. And it's like you're going to cut yourself off from that to exist in a bubble that you can predict because you feel it's safe. But, you know, I mean, we're here to experience the world at large, I feel, you know, for most of us. And there's a lot there to see. And, you know, if you've been cultivating this brilliant like perspective or way to look at things from your own unique gifts and lens, like, you know, it's I feel like you're doing the world a service by not applying it to what's going on around you.
Hmm. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. I love you, man. You're great.
Yeah.
So I'm going to make the assumption right now that we're correct in our perspective
I
for
hope so.
all intents and purposes of this next question. Doesn't mean that we are, but if we are,
Yeah.
again, big if we are correct about this, how can we encourage other spiritual practitioners and influencers? I gotta hit that word, but to engage with the world without feeling like they're compromising their own health and sanity, and to maybe teach in a different way in that respect.
You do what the left has always done, which is you cancel them. No, I'm kidding. I'm fucking with you. I mean, it's you invite them in, you know, like you invite them in and you give them space to learn. Even like I definitely had some really you'd be surprised some very like well-known influencers like or people with very big platforms contact me about Palestine like right after it happened and because I was speaking on it and you know I told them like take in what you need to take in, like show up when you feel you're ready and it's coming from you and not like I have to say this to say it. And you know, and but like open yourself to the journey. Like this is good that you want to be a part of this. I think every influencer or whatever, like they have to understand why they want to do it. It has to be their own relationship with it. I don't think shaming someone into conformity is ever healthy or does anything, honestly. So yeah, but I think, you know, in a space, like it's okay to show up in this way. And, you know, a lot of people are afraid of getting canceled or losing business in this climate. I'll say that ultimately, like with me, like my business, I was speaking on like the most divisive geopolitical issue of our time. So my situation was unique, but like I took a hit and then my business completely rebalanced itself just fine. And the clientele I work with just shifted, right? I actually work with people that are from the region now. Okay, you have to just be very grounded in yourself of like, why am I doing this? Why does this feel important to me? You know, do I have something to say? Do I have something to impart here? And what happens if I also choose not to? What are the repercussions if I choose to stay away from it? If I'm sitting on this big platform where I'm occupying a position where someone else could potentially be occupying it and have this influence over others, and I'm choosing to not say something because I'm scared about what it does to me or how it impacts and affects me. So I'm going to play it safe. Like,
Guilty.
what? No, but I mean, no, but I trust me, I have, you know, people in mind, it's not you. And it's, what are the repercussions of you not utilizing that? And you know, that's what I would say to other people with platforms or whatever. Like, you know, you've been given influence, right? And what is the what is the good and the downside of you saying this isn't, you know, like, and it's not because it's really just not for me, but because I'm scared and I don't want to and be uncomfortable for me. You know, I think that people sometimes miss, especially in the spiritual sphere, having an influence is a privilege and it's responsibility. Like
Mhm.
people with followings, people who have people listening to them, like it is a privilege, it's a responsibility in its own way. It's not, I almost feel like it's not that different from them being an elected official. Like people are saying like, hey, like I want to learn from you. I want to like, these are my things that I'm going through. Can you speak on this? Can you speak on these broader issues? And so when you say, no, this isn't mine because I'm scared and I want this type of money, like are you better than the people that are even in office who are looking out for themselves in their own way, you know? And I know there's balance, there's nuance to that, but I'll be fully transparent. Like, I felt that there have been situations where people with really big platforms who have really big awarenesses around trauma healing and all these and spirituality and esoteric concepts should have spoken or applied their knowledge in that area, right? And I felt them pull back because they were either it was out of fear, or I could feel a sense of just fear, right? Not wanting to upset, not wanting to imbalance, not wanting to shoot people off, which I get, and still I feel, personal opinion, should have still done it, and opinion of like a feeling of a spiritual superiority where I'm above speaking on this, and it's like, yeah, you are actually a good teacher, you actually know so much, and you have such a big following, and you're not going to apply it to here now, like you're going to say this doesn't matter, like, you know, I feel like there are people that aren't upholding their responsibility with the level of influence they have. So long-winded. Yeah.
One more thing in there I want to add, though. Be informed if you're going to do that. Know what you're talking about.
Yeah, for sure.
That's important too. Do your due diligence.
For
Understand what the fuck you're talking about.
110%. And like, I mean, you know, I threw out like a quick video about Israel Palestine. I was like, hey guys, like I am not a fucking expert on this. And then I realized like, shit, my hat's in the arena on this. And I knew I had to keep reading and researching, learning, speaking to others. Like if I was going to continue to speak on this and utilize a platform where, like, you know, and there are things that I got wrong and incorrect in, like, because like I'm learning, I'm making mistakes, but there has to be a willingness to learn. But this is like, if you have a big platform, like, or you're an influencer, there's responsibility to come there. Like you're shaping and influencing the collective thought, the collective paradigms. And if you're shying away, like that's like, there's energy to that. I just feel that.
So how can everyone work with you?
Instagram's the best way right now. I don't post on TikTok anymore. And so Instagram's, just go on Instagram. There's a link tree up there. I have one-on-one containers. I also have an online community. There's a phone app, way showers, right? There's a whole online community that you get to engage with as much as you want through the phone app. There's meetings at least once a week in a number of different ways, right? So those are the ways that I am available right now.
And where can they find you on Instagram?
Oh yeah, I am Zack, Z-A-C-K, Alexander.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much for coming on here. It's not going to be the last time. Putting the pressure on you now. First of many. Man, thank you for coming on, Zack. And thank you for the work that you're doing out there. You know, you are an inspiration.
Thank you, man. Appreciate that.
I like to finish every one of these by saying, yay. You can say it too if you want to.
Yay.
Fellow time travelers, your journey through time awaits you. Just want to thank you guys so much for listening to today's episode. And if you're interested in discovering who, when, and where you have been throughout time, and you'd like to book a session with me, just go ahead and send me a message on Instagram at The Past Life Regressionist, or you can reach me through my website, yourpastliferegressionist.com.